Buttterfly. I am with Project Opening Doors out of Great Falls, Montana. And I would like to kind of address the concern that in regards to the email process, in regards to the PREA that Director Reginald Michael has presented to this council. Back in 2007, and they were discovered on October, it was released to the press. There were 74 Department of Corrections workers that were involved in a pretty heinous email scandal. Child porn, racial remarks were towards Native Americans, towards Mexicans, towards black people, and towards those who, were speaking out through the grievance system. And they include correctional officers, department heads, administrators, and this is just not within just one department. It's all departments in the Department of Corrections. And they only got a slap on the hand. And part of this scandal is there was context on these computers that was so disgusting. There are guys in prison that are sitting there for 10 to 100 years for the contents that these Department of Corrections employees, had, sending message to each other, pictures of themselves, nude, pictures of videos, pictures of porn, pictures of child porn. And, it's upsetting to hear Reginald Michael, kind of praise, the work on the officers.
Sir, can we avoid specific names?
Okay.
Thank you.
So back to the PREA. There are untreated sex offenders in the ranks of the Department of Corrections, and this is unacceptable. They hid this from the general public. They hid it from people who are trying to help people get out to make better lives for themselves. I was directly affected by individuals at this time when this was coming out, by correctional officers. So this is something that needs to come out. People need to know about these things that happen within the Department of Corrections. And these people were got a slap on the hand, and now they are probation officers, ISP officers. They sit on committees, they sit on boards, they make decisions, but in the end, they don't get they don't get in trouble for this. They're not held accountable, but yet they want to lock people up for these same things, give them, large sentences, and still sit back and try to make them sound like they're doing the right thing to help individuals out. So this was posted in October 2008 on the Prison Legal News and in the Billings Gazette. And it was bad. I had experiences with Crystal Foster and Shelley Stye at the time that were involved. I witnessed Larry Pasha do some horrendous things to inmates in a sexual content while he was pat searching them. And when this was reported to the PREA, the own PREA officers and, all these individuals were involved in this scandal. So it was all covered up. So this is something that needs to be addressed, because they're sitting here getting money for these programs and they're engaging in inappropriate behavior themselves. And, the masterminds of these cover-ups at the time was the legal department at the Montana State Prison and the Department of Corrections. And there are employees that were involved in these scandals that had child porn, that sent pictures, that sent racial remarks, working at the pre-releases, working at probation parole, and they're out there and they're enforcing these rules that on these individuals, and they were involved themselves. And this is 74 Department of Corrections employees. administrators, committee members, boards, board members, supervisors, sergeants, mental health, RAC directors, the Religious Activity Center. Father Pentland was fired for his engagement in sexual activity, but they covered that up as well. There's a lot of stuff that they're not sharing with you guys, and it needs to be addressed, because the people that we represent the felons that are in there doing time. You know, they can be helped. They have addictions. We come in, we help them. We help them to be better people, to better themselves, to be productive members of society. And, you know, it's sad when you have people that we elect in that sit back and don't do nothing when we address these issues. What's the point of you guys being elected into these positions when you don't hear the people that went through these struggles, the people that were directly affected by these officers? You know, we are registered voters now. We voted a lot of people in. The people that we represent, they have families who are registered voters. And that's where we got to take this, is we got to take it to the point to where we got to get those people that are corruption in this Department of Corrections and get them out of there, reform them. You know, we back the judge that they are targeting who wants people to go to treatment. And instead, they're overriding his decisions and sending them to prison to line their pockets with the funding that they get. It's all about money. Look at their bank statements, all the department heads. MCE. This is unacceptable. The people are tired of this. Something needs to be done. And we're not going to stop until we get some resolve. I understand that now we are targets by the Department of Corrections, but we are not alone. We represent those men and women that are incarcerated in the jails, in the prisons, not only in Montana, but those who interstate compact out. And they have families, and each family that they have are registered voters. And they are well aware of these things that are going on. They are lying about the COVID. There are outbreaks in the prison right now, and they are on lockdown. They had a plan in 2009 when the H1N1 broke out. Why aren't they implementing it? They received funding at that time for this plan to prevent this. And part of that plan was reducing the population of the prison to those who were group complete, who were within a time frame of the release and a time frame of their parole. You know, this is unacceptable. We have sex offenders in the Department of Corrections at high-level positions, directors of programs, administrators, sergeants, such as, you know, like Larry Pasha, that's doing this to people. Look at the PREA, look at the grievances. And the sentence, look at the grievances. These were issues that people were speaking out to be counted. Natives from the tribe, that they are not counted on there. And this money don't go to the prison. This goes to the tribe. So essentially, the Department of Correction is still stealing from the reservations. So something needs to be done. We've addressed you guys before, and still nothing. They are drugging people at the Cascade County Detention Center, the contracted nurses. I was one. I was in 2009. I was drugged by Laura Anderchek and Pot Rats, officer at Bookin. She's still there. My sister just recently, 2013, she was given Librium. They had her medication on site, that it was approved for her medical conditions. Instead of giving her that medication, they gave her Librium, these cocktails. This is how they do it, is when people go into plea deals.
We appreciate your testimony, but can you wrap it up?
Yes, I will.
And give respect to the other people that want to speak?
Okay, I will, but this has to get out there. But what they're doing is people are going into these plea deals on these medications, incoherent, not knowing what they did. And they're making plea deals. And these are the homeless community. These are people with addictions. Native Americans are the #1 target at the Cascade County Detention Center. This needs to stop. So we're asking you today to help us to stop this. This is why you guys are here. There's an issue within the department that needs to be corrected, and we're not gonna stop. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good morning, Chair Usher and the committee. My name is Laurie Little Dog. LaurieLittledog. And just to transition from the previous statements that were made, to say that we are PREA compliant is a disgrace. That person is still employed. The head management at Montana State Prison told me straight up that how Christian that person was and that he doesn't do that and the inmates are ganging up on him. It's a lie. There are federal cases that are presently open against this individual, yet you're so PREA compliant, Department of Corrections. We're exposing you. There's a reason why we have to come to a public hearing like this to say names, because you don't have a grievance process for the public. You don't even have much of a grievance process for the people in there, because those grievance, the formal grievance procedure, those grievances disappear. They're unsubstantiated regularly with PREA. That's all I have to say about PREA. But try being locked up and getting sexually assaulted by a same-sex individual. Real quickly, I just want to touch on the fact that the windows in Highside Buildings 1 and 2, which house approximately 400 individuals, they're still shut by a metal contraption. The Department of Corrections came back at me when I reported this in concern of the COVID that is a respiratory virus. We need fresh air. There's been a CDC study that all the people on the committee got a copy of, that CDC study, saying that across 16 prisons and jails across the country that had major COVID outbreaks and massive death, the #1 error was ventilation. And, the #1 error was the fact that they waited for symptoms to show up. And a contributing factor was the ventilation. So when the Department of Corrections comes back at me and says that the windows are not welded shut, but they are held together with a metal pin from the outside in that maintenance can easily open, then why the heck are they not open? Same thing to do with the mail. Paranoia. There might be drugs coming in through the mail, so therefore we're going to stifle it for everybody. There might be someone that tosses something out the window, a window that's too small for a human body to fit through, but we're not going to open them because something might happen. My main issue that I'm talking about today is the census. The census, something that's supposed to count every single human being that is on this land, okay? They count. The individual counts themselves and is able to self-identify who we are as a people, DNA, how we identify. It does not say in the United States Census rules that some other state agency can quantify the identity or omit tribe names that will, for the next at least 10 years, affect the resources that tribes have access to. When the Department of Corrections says that they were told by the United States Census not to include that, or that it was optional, I'm holding up right here. This is the e-manual for group quarter reporting that explicitly states on page 21 that you are to identify the person's, the actual name of the tribe. It doesn't say it's optional. That's like the IRS telling somebody, oh, this isn't a third job for you, therefore don't report it. Even though we're in the business of collecting that data and that information, we're in the census business, but it's optional for you to override a human being's identity and say, oh, it's just an Indian. Remember back in the day, rounding up people, not caring what tribe they were from. Oh, a bunch of faceless Indians. It don't matter. Just put them all together and count them up. I just need to know the number. This is modern day genocide. The state of Montana, through the United States Census, through the Department of Corrections, is ripping off tribes and is stealing the identities of our people. There's a confidentiality law associated with the United States Census. It's Title 18 of the United States Code. It prohibits a state agency from accessing the data that's between the individual and the census. So who the heck does the Department of Corrections think they are, thinking that they're going to be the ones to decide, oh, well, because a correctional record indicates at some point they said they were Native, then we're only going to ask that small segment of people. The Department of Corrections has overstepped its boundary. It's in violation of the Supremacy Clause of the laws, the federal laws that surround the United States Census. The state of Montana is backing them. Look at this. You see all these emails? I've been working on this since August 7th, when I first discovered that no one in the prisons across Montana even knew the census was happening. So I started asking questions. I've been emailing folks like Senator Mr. Tester, Cooney. We have a really strong ally in the National Congress of American Indians. This is being looked at nationally. And yet, guess what? I'm looked at as some crazy, dumb, female Native American that doesn't know what I'm talking about. I will not tolerate it. There is an assault against Montana tribes happening right now by the state of Montana through the Department of Corrections. This census update that was just presented by the DOC, claiming that they've identified 60 individuals that, we reached out to and we got their tribal name. That is not their position. They are interfering in a federal process. The only solution to this, and I have mentioned it from day one, is to give inmates paper census forms that they send directly to the United States Processing Center in the Midwest by the general population deadline. I've been working with people in DC, yet the people in Montana will not tell me who is wheeling and dealing with them on the census.
Ms. Little Dog, can you wrap it up, please?
Oh, it's never going to be over, because this will go federal. It will go to the Supreme Court. But out of respect for time and others that have something to say, I will conclude it for now and expect the director or the Department of Corrections, you will have an audience. I don't care if we are screaming from the streets today. We would like to talk with you one-on-one, but you don't return calls and emails. We'll see you in the parking lot.
Ms. Little Dog, could you have that removed from the front of the... Thank you. Next.
They don't provide it at the podium, so I brought some.
My name is Micah Braidedhair, Micah Braidedhair. I'm an enrolled member of the Northern Cheyenne Tribe out in Montana. There's a couple issues that I'd like to talk about. I was just released 60 days ago. A lot of these programs that they're talking about at MSP, the emails, all this stuff is not offered to the majority of the population. None of the regional prisons have it. I was there 60 days ago. You know what I'm saying? The majority of the inmate population is spread out through these regional prisons, Great Falls, Glendive, Shelby. You know what I'm saying? If they're offering to a small population at Deer Lodge, the majority of the inmates still do not have access to these programs. Programming isn't being offered in Glendive. There's absolutely no programming up there. They get funding for it and no programs are offered. You have to get shit back to Deer Lodge or Shelby to do your programs. But they're still collecting money for ITU and CPNR or Thinking for Change. None of these programs are being offered at these regionals. You know what I'm saying? With the census, this isn't the only thing that they're not allowing. My tribe had our election for our tribal president. They mailed in our ballots. Department of Corrections said we weren't allowed to fill them out. That's not their position. They can't tell me as a tribal member that I can't vote for my tribe. We're a sovereign nation, but they took the ballots out of our mail and refused to give them to us. I've never, in the 15 years that I've done, been given a census form ever to be counted. DOC's done it for me. I've not once gone to any of these parenting programs that Mr. Reginald said is being offered. I haven't even heard of it. Like I said, I was just released. None of this is in the inmate population. We don't know about these programs. The visitation is totally cut off, and they're talking about they're doing camps for families. They're not. It's not offered. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of these things that DOC today has presented are real. It never has been. They come to this committee and they tell you guys what you guys want to hear because you guys don't get to go inside and see what's really going on. You can't prove what they're saying. They send you an email and then act like this is what's really happening, and it's not. As a native, you know what I'm saying? They're taking money from my tribe by refusing to give me a census form. You know what I'm saying? They took away my right to vote for my tribal president. They didn't have the right to do that. You know what I'm saying? We're a sovereign nation. The tribe okayed us to vote as inmates, but DOC said we can't have it. They took it out of, they didn't even give us the mail. They didn't even give us a refusal slip. They just kept sending it back to the tribe. We never got them. You know? I don't know. I think you guys should look into it more. I don't think that Department of Corrections is being honest with you guys. I feel like they give you guys something on paper and say, well, this is what we want you to see. And it's not what's really happening. I was there 60 days ago. I've done 15 years in both federal and state prisons. This man wants to talk about that he's worried about the email being like TikTok. Well, what about their emails that their inner office emails? Why is that not at risk for being misused or mishandled? Butterfly had a thing that says it was. The feds have been doing emails for over a decade for inmate population. Montana is now talking about starting to do it, and they say that it's in there, but like I said, the majority of the inmates, if any, don't have access to it. They say that it's there. I talk to people daily that call me from the prison, and not once has anyone mentioned that they've had email, and that would be something big. They talk about the price of it. They say that that DOC is not making any money off of it, but I can guarantee that if you go to MCE, Montana Correctional Enterprises, which is a separate business, is making money off of it. Just like they do off of our music and our canteen. The DOC never makes the money. MCE makes the money. They shuffle it into that program instead of providing it for the prison. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barbara Satrom, Barbara Satrom. As a wife and a family member of inmates in Montana State Prison all of my life, I just messaged my Aunt Paula because my Uncle Robert Crawford is in Montana State Prison right now. He's an inmate worker. He's able to work outside of the fence. Sometimes they say that those inmates have, more availability to things, and I can tell you right now that he doesn't have email. I've never heard of anyone there having email. My Uncle James Ranke, just passed away. He just got out of Montana State Prison in Deer Lodge. Both of these people are in Deer Lodge. Neither of them have had email, so I don't know what this email program is that they're talking about or where they're using it, but it's nothing that I've ever seen. And I can tell you that my husband and all of my family have all asked for programs. They're all addicts, or they all have violent crimes. They all have a past in which they want to change so that they can come out here and be successful members of society. And not a single one of them in all the years of being in those prisons have ever received any real programming. I think that it's something that should be looked at. Email would be an amazing thing, if it was affordable. Or if it was free, like you were saying. There's no reason why, just like you said, just like Starbucks, an inmate shouldn't be able to get on their tablet and be able to talk to their family. Those calls are expensive. You can go to Shelby and the call, it's 15 minutes, it's like $1 and something. You go up to one of these other prisons, like, where were you? Glendive, and you're paying $3 to $5 a call, depending on what you know, prison you're in. Yeah, $15 for a 15-minute phone call out of Great Falls. I know there's got to be something that changes, because you say that you want to be there for the family and that you want to advocate for the prisoner and that you want to make change and you want to make sure that these inmates can have a life outside of those walls. And without real programming and without real change, they will never be able to be productive, because that's all they know. You keep them there so long without change and they're never going to be able to come out here and be successful. So I hope that you really look into that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.